gentlemen, you can fight in here. This is the war room.
Welcome to Cornhusker Corner with Blake.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I'm Brooks.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
And you better bet your bottom dollar that these two brothers know how to handle business.
Here's a hand up to Thunder, who gives it back to Mike Stokes. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out. Yeah! 40. It is. Eric Crouch. 15, 10.
All right, welcome to Cornhusker Corner, where there's no place like this podcast. As always, Blake, my brother Brooks, let's just get right the hell into it. I'm going to say right off the top, there's a lot of emotions right now. Honestly, game went how I thought it was going to go in some aspects. In some aspects, it didn't. But this is probably going to be if you've been listening for a while, we try not to say certain things on the podcast in terms of vulgarity, things like that. But there's a lot of emotions right now, and I'm just saying, if it slips out, it slips out, and I'm fucking sorry. So let's go from that. It's going to be an explicit episode just because, damn, dude. Damn.
Yeah. It deserves the disclaimer. Look, every time I edit one of these videos, sorry, Mom. First of all, sorry, Mom. But second of all, every time I edit one of these videos, I have to check a little box on YouTube that says, is this a kid's video or is this not a kid's video?
Yeah.
And every time I check the box that says it's not a kid's video, because on YouTube it limits certain things for kids video, like a mini player and random little things. So you don't want it to be a kid's video. But we also try to keep it clean on this podcast because our parents are listening, our relatives are listening, but our parents and relatives understand what the hell just happened to Nebraska. Yeah. and I have to say, I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say that right off top. I mean, and we're not going to be like cursing like sailors, but emotion gets the best of you, and I didn't want to be held accountable for my actions there. But dang, dude, let's just get right into it. First off, we're not Colorado fans. So I want to say this right off the bat. Congratulations to Colorado for winning the game. You deserve to win based off of the product on the field today. Congratulations. You're never going to hear that on the other side. So congratulations. Now, we have, let's just get into it. We don't have all the other stuff. Just remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you can. Follow us on, at Seahusker Corner, at Seahusker_Corner on X or Twitter, or on Instagram, Cornhusker Corner. But apart from that, let's get into the recap. Okay. Not a lot to really bounce off there. We have a really, really, really good defense.
Yes.
And absolutely. I feel really bad for those people. And it feels like the past couple of years, just with Frost and everything, it feels like, oh, well, our defense is there, but our offense has some stuff lacking. For maybe not the first part of last year, but as you look at it,
I agree with you for the most part. But the sentiment largely under Frost was like, oh, we're improving slowly on defense year after year, right? So his first two defenses weren't the best, especially defensive backs wise. You look at the guys we had in the defensive back room. If you look at it from hindsight, you'd be like, oh, Cam Taylor-Britt, Deontay Williams, all these dudes. But they really didn't come into their own as a defensive unit until that 2021 year. And I think that this defense in the first two games has maybe been the best first two games defense we've seen in quite a while.
Absolutely.
So that is an encouraging aspect of this game. They can tackle. I didn't see missed tackles all over the place until, they were worn out at the end. And then sure, there was a couple of missed tackles here and there. But I mean, TCU had 19 missed tackles. So I was talking to Dad sort of at the beginning of the second half. And I said, I don't know what's going to happen in the rest of this game. Nebraska's defense could completely break down from here. And I knocked on wood. But then I said, I was like, but one thing's for sure. I think this proves how bad TCU's defense is. Because I think our defense is because I think our defense is good. I think we're fundamentally sound in a lot of areas, and I think we got a lot of good pressure on the quarterback today. But I don't think we're a top 25 unit either. Like, I'll just be honest there. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna.
I would be willing to bet like maybe top 35. I do think that
I could follow you there for sure.
Because here's what I think really happened today. Colorado got hit in the mouth for the first time this season. They had all this hype coming into the game, and their offense. Oh, nobody can run with these people. Oh, but honestly, for guy, our defense matched up so much better than TCU did. Right?
Yep.
We guarded their top guys better. They're going to make plays here and there. We're going to make plays here and there, but we matched up way better. We played way better, especially in the first half. If you have an offense that is even serviceable with how our defense played, minus those 5 minutes, which is not their fault, but if you have the offense to counteract that punch that the defense is going towards, you know what happens? We're up 17-21 to nothing going into half. And then they collapse.
No doubt about it. Even if you have like 2009 Nebraska offense, Iowa last year type of offense. Even if you have an offense that can not score for their life, but can sort of keep the ball here and there.
Yeah.
And
no turnovers,
even if you just have
like takes care of the ball at least. And they can have plays here and there, but let's just elephant in the room, right? There's only one problem with our offense, and it's very clear.
Yes.
And I don't like harping on kids because I'm 30 years old at this point, and they're college kids.
Yes.
Right. But they're now getting paid. They have NIL. You can say
and
stuff.
I still live and walk among them, but I'm also older than them.
Yeah, 26. So you're a little bit less far removed. But dude, Sims is not the answer.
No,
he is not the answer. And let's just throw this up. There is a QB controversy now.
No doubt about it.
Because the only weak part of our offensive line is not great, but they are serviceable. Like, you look at most offensive lines, there's probably only 3 in the entire country that are elite. The rest of them are serviceable. Ours is serviceable. That's not coaching. There's nothing coaching going on with the offensive line anymore. There's no personnel issues going on offensive line anymore. The running back room is freaking stacked. The wide receiver room is, again, serviceable. We have some young guys in there. Kemp proved today that he can get open. He's shifty. You have to have a guy that can get them the ball. You have to have a guy back there that is going to take care of the ball over everything else.
Yeah, you have to have a guy back there who, when he fumbles the snap, has quick enough reflexes to pick up the ball. I mean, it felt like he was moving in slow motion on that play. That was the most frustrating part to me about that first fumble of the snap. The first
Both of them.
The very first one. But it was the very first one, I think, where he fumbled it. And it felt like he was moving in mud to get the ball. And there's something psychologically that's happened here with Jeff Sims, I believe. And that's the other controversy to me is the Bucks doesn't stop with Jeff Sims. Jeff Sims didn't play himself today. Jeff Sims was recruited and handpicked by head coach Rule. And I'm not throwing in the towel or anything. I'm not saying that this is a failure. This Project Rule is. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is this is definitely the first sign of where do we go from here? Yeah. That was a bad decision.
Well,
he ran Casey out of the door, and
talent be damned in the quarterback room.
Yeah,
Sims was his guy. You ran out Casey. You ran out Logan Smothers, who got hurt in the spring, so he didn't really have even a chance to compete. But those two guys right there, they had playing experience. Casey has been in college football for 6 years now at this point?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Like, that guy is a game manager. He's the perfect quarterback that you want for a first-year head coach that wants to win right away.
25% of Casey's life he's been in college football.
Okay. What's funny is, like, like last year, you wouldn't think that like we're like, oh, like we're really pining for Casey Thompson, but the dude is a solid quarterback who knows how to read a defense, and for the most part will take care of the ball.
Yes.
He had some dumb passes here and there, but that happens with quarterbacks. And then you look at Logan on the other end of that, and look, I watched him the other night. He looked really good against a different kind of competition, but then he's always looked good in games. He's always looked good in games. So those are two guys that you've. I don't know if he's run them out of the building, but Sims has been his guy since the spring.
Well, the quote supposedly is that let's see, it's on my Twitter right here. The quote supposedly is Matt Rule sat down with Casey Thompson and his dad after spring football and said, quote, "If I was you, I would transfer." End quote. So did he run him out the door? You tell me. I'm saying
if that's
the answer
true,
is
then yeah.
probably yes. Now look, am I saying that we're doomed? The Rule tenure is doomed to fail? No, I'm not saying that. But this is definitely the first sign of controversy as far as like coaching decisions. The honeymoon phase is officially over. Let's declare that right now. If it wasn't over by last week, it's over now.
Absolutely.
So one thing. Yes.
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead. Casey Thompson. Sorry.
Yeah.
He looks like Tom Brady compared to what we've seen out of Jeff Sims so far. It's not just like, oh, he's okay. No. Like based on his TD to interception ratio, based on the way he took care of the ball, he looks like a high level NFL quarterback compared to Jeff Sims. And so go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I was sorry, you didn't give me enough time. I was going to look up Casey Thompson's stats last year if you want to do that while I'm on my soapbox here. So during the Scott Frost tenure, there was a lot of talk about Adrian Martinez and why he's sticking with Adrian Martinez and what's the quarterback controversy there. And most people fail to look at the game as a whole. Adrian was so good at keeping us in the game, making the plays when he needed to. He had some interceptions and stuff here and there, but it was never so glaring as he's losing us the game right now. Take him out. Maybe there was a game here and there that I'm forgetting about, but just if you look at his entire tenure as a whole, right? He kept us in way more games than he actually lost us. And now he would have a thing here and there that would actually lose us the game, but most people fail to realize that he got us there. He got us there. So we had an entire offense that was completely inept. We did not have a run game. We had wide receivers here and there, but we didn't really have anything as a unit. We didn't have an offensive line. So the quarterback was the thing that everybody like kind of centered on. Now, I truly believe we have everything else in place to have a decent offense, except a quarterback. We do not have a quarterback. We do not have that person that can just move the ball down the field. You know?
Yeah.
It was the exact like it's the exact opposite of what people were complaining about with like Martinez or even Casey.
Yep.
Like
on the subject of Casey, I found his stats if you want to go over those. So
go ahead.
63% completion. He had 2,400 yards passing, 8.8 yards per attempt, 240 yards per game, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
10. Okay.
So 17 and 10. That sounds pretty damn good right now, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Sims is already at 4 interceptions and how many fumbles? He's at.
Yeah.
So he had three interceptions last game, and two fumbles.
3 fumbles today. I mean, well, we had the 2 fumbles that I feel like he fumbled the snap, and then there was the exchange with Gabe. So that's 3 right there.
That's 3.
And then we had the one where the dude was running across the middle. So we really had I have to look at the stats for this game. I really should pull those up at this point.
So he had 2 fumbled snaps for sure, and then the 1 exchange, which you could blame on both of them. But being a former quarterback, right, I know where you're supposed to stick that ball on a handoff. And if you look just on film, where do people stick the ball on handoffs? He was reaching, and it was right on the tip. So it was not a good exchange. You can blame both parties, but again, Let's just blame it on Sims because the dude's a turnover machine.
Yes.
He just is. And you can see, and I feel so bad for him.
Okay.
I feel so bad because he's been put in this position when he is the player that he is. And he'd be a very serviceable backup. Let's just say that.
So he fumbled 2, lost 2, and then they attributed that other one to Gabe. And then there was the one that was sweeping across the middle, and Luke recovered it, the fullback, I believe. So yeah.
And that was on that one. That one was on the center.
Yes.
That one was because they had the motion guy and it hit the motion guy.
And he was 9 for 15, 106 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Heinrich was 2 for 6 for 13 yards for 1 touchdown. And so, I will say they were against the twos, but Heinrich looked okay when he went in.
Yeah. So like that's another thing I was gonna say, right? So I didn't watch after the third quarter. So basically, we went into the fourth, and I just kind of realized there's really no chance here, especially with our offense. And like I stopped watching. So what did Harburg look like? Did he look like somebody that was way in over his head, or did he look like somebody that was like, let me get my chance in here let's go into next week?
He looked good in there, and I'll keep that thought in my mind because we just got a comment from our guest on the show last week, and we got to give him his due because he was gracious enough to come on our show. I'm going to hold his comment up here as brief as I can. He says, run Jeff Sims out of town, and you guys have a good teams. Go Buffs. Oh, God.
Yeah, no. Greg, you're right. You're right, Greg. You're right. And I'm sure if you were to hop on here and, like talk to us about it, like, dude, the way our defense played and the way the Buffs team just looked, and you can even see that from Prime at halftime. They didn't know what was going on. They just assumed that they would be better. And like,
yeah,
our defense played so much better. And if we had an offense, we would have been up by probably, I'll be conservative, probably 2.5, probably like by 17 at half without those stupid turnovers. Because they weren't forced turnovers. They had that interception, which was a bad throw, but the backer made a great play on the ball. And maybe the other, I don't know. The rest of them were unforced errors.
Yeah.
The rest of them were.
It was flabbergasting.
Snaps.
We got Gus Johnson, which by the way, I've fallen swiftly out of love with Gus Johnson's play-by-play commentary. Klatt's okay, but Gus Johnson I can't stand. I have to be honest.
His inflection is really terrible.
Yeah, it's bad. But we got a holy shit out of him almost. He said like on like the third fumble, he was like, "Holy Chicago."
Yeah. No, when the announcers that were, and again, I'm sure Greg would say the same thing. They were a lot on Colorado's side there at the beginning, and then they kind of started to shift when they saw Nebraska's defense.
Yes,
and they were like, "Oh, they're really fighting. They're really fighting, and this can be a really good game because they only care about ratings." But when that happened, there was like a shift. They were like, "Put another quarterback in. What are you doing?" Because that you can only really think about. Again, there's only one problem with our offense. There really is one glaring problem, and it's the quarterback position. I don't know.
No doubt about it. I mean, no doubt about it, because we were establishing the run. Our offensive line looked pretty good. Our wide receivers were getting open. And they really a wide receiver only let Jeff Sims down one time today, and that was Alex Bullock. I think early in the second half. It was a critical third down. Yeah. And that was bad because that play could have potentially given Jeff Sims maybe a bit of confidence in that moment. But yeah, besides the defense, there's not a whole lot of positives to pull from this game because when your team gives the ball away 4 times, that There's no positives
really
to take
hard
from that,
it's
unfortunately.
really hard to win games like that.
It's impossible, basically.
Yeah.
It's impossible. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I watched Rule's press conference after the game, and just because I wanted to get it in my head what he was saying about after the game, and I gotta admit, I mean, he handled it really well. And one of the things he said was, it was about 5 or 6 minutes into the press conference, and the media lady was already saying, like, one more question. And he answered the one more question, and then he goes, no, I'm going to answer as many questions as you guys have, because that's what you do after a game like this. and I'm not going to say, like, I'm back on the hype train. I'm not off the train. I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm completely back on the hype train, but, like, that's the way to handle it. And I don't think we would have seen that type of thing from our last guy. So we're 2 games into his tenure. It is what it is, man. It was a tough game to watch. It's a tough game to pull positives from, but I don't know. You just got to get back on the horse and keep going, because that's life's going to deal you blows like that.
Yeah.
It just is what it is, man.
No. And listen, like, I was actually talking to my wife about this, and I was just looking at her watching the game, being frustrated. and you know, like, she knows a lot about football. She does. But there are certain things that you catch when you've played, and you've played a lot of football at a couple different levels, like I have, that, like, you just catch, like, certain coaching decisions, and you, like, see the nuances of the game a little bit better. And I was just like, Megan, like, I understand why they have Sims in for the 5-minute drive, and even the one down there at the end of the half. I said, I understand that. And I know he's a leader on the team. I know that you want to give him all the chances in the world. But how he's been playing, he has 3 turnovers in the first, 2 in the first quarter, 3 in the first half. You have to make a choice.
It gets to a point.
It gets to a point. It gets to a point where you have to make a choice, and, like, give your backup all the chance in the world. Not throwing him in at the end of the game. Give him all the chance in the world. Say, hey, it's not working right now. Let's just see how this works. You have nothing to lose. I said this on our preview. You have nothing to lose being Nebraska. So. Yeah.
To be honest, forget about nothing to lose. Forget about nothing to lose. I said this. I said it this way to either Dad or Mom midway through this game. I was like, "Look, it comes to, like, being a disciplined team and sending a message to your team and your quarterback. When your quarterback plays like that, you can't keep him in. It doesn't matter who he is. It doesn't matter who he is. If he fumbles like that 3 times, he's got to take a seat for a little bit.
How many snaps did Anthony Grant have today?
0. Exactly.
0. You know why?
They held him accountable.
They held him accountable. You have to hold your quarterback accountable. It doesn't matter that you gave him, like, number 7. Who gives a crap?
Yeah. Great point about Anthony Grant.
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? like really? Like, you're gonna hold one person accountable but not the other? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. And I do think that, like, we had and still have some talent in the quarterback room. Like, the announcers on halftime, they were talking about, like, who's behind Sims, like a walk-on transfer. Like, what? No, that's not true.
Yeah, it wasn't true.
Heinrich Harburg was a 4-star recruit, and Scott Frost was able to recruit him to Nebraska. He was an in-state 4-star quarterback recruit, right?
Yes.
So he obviously has talent. We've seen him in spring games. We've seen him in, like, late stuff here and there. I think, just in terms of, like, what I've seen out of him, if they put all of their focus behind this one dude, I think he could be really good. I think he's like 6'3". He's a little bit smaller than Jeff Sims. But did you text me this? Because I think this is a great idea, putting Sims at tight end.
Yes. Switch what they had going on the first week. because we got to have a dude at quarterback who can take care of the ball. And I still think you can use Jeff Sims. He's a great athlete. And I think he's like a tight end body, to be honest. Put on a little weight and you're a tight end body. Like he's a little lanky. Possibly he could be like that big old like Andre Johnson style receiver, but like tight end body is what I see, to be honest with you.
No, and I see, like, I texted both you and Dad during the game, like at halftime, and I was like, look, Sims is an elite runner. He's a big dude. He's really hard to bring down, and he knows how to run the ball, but he does not have good decision making.
No.
Let's put him in a package QB. Lots of teams still do that. Like, but like Tebow, his first year at Florida. I just watched Gator Kings, which is why that was so
Swamp Kings.
Swamp Kings. While that was still in the top of mind there, but he was a package QB. He came in to run. He came in to do this, but he also did pass in there, like every once in a while, and that would be so suiting to his skill set that we're putting him in a disservice being the starter QB. We just are
starter. I agree with that. I mean, to be honest, I'm just done with him taking snaps. That's where I am on Jeff Sims. Like package QB, nothing. I don't want nothing. I don't want him taking snaps because he's proven like those weren't bad snaps. You can't drop snaps. You can't do that. Because what happens is that gets into your head, and then maybe you're playing a good couple games in a row, and then you get into a critical moment in a critical game. And then it comes, and then you make a bad mistake, and then boom, you're back to where you were. It's back into your head. You just can't have that. They got to do some shifting in the quarterback room. I really believe that. They brought in a walk on, so it's not like we're down to just two guys if Jeff Sims is not a quarterback anymore. They brought in a guy from for Coach Satterfield, I think. But anyway, Sorry,
what does our quarterback room look like outside of Chuba, Purdy, and you're a lot more into the weeds.
Jack Woke and one other one. Hang on. Jack Woke's the one I was talking about that came from 20, that came from South Carolina, I believe.
Okay.
B room. But
it is just frustrating to see all the talent that they let leave.
Yes.
When what we have left. Like, I thought Chuba Purdy, after how he performed last season, was gone. And I honestly thought that Casey, this was going to be the tier. Casey, and then Sims and Smothers would compete for that top spot, and maybe Smothers would beat him out. But that's how I thought the quarterback room was going to go. And then they all transferred away because probably Coach told them to.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate.
It's really frustrating.
Yep. So let's see. We got Sims, Harburg, Purdy, Jack Woke, Luke Longval, redshirt freshman from Sioux City, Iowa. And that looks like
Matt Masker.
Nope, he's not on the team anymore. He's not on the team, which is unfortunate because by all means, like, I told you at halftime, I was like, look, all we need is something that would remind you of like those early 2000s or late 2000s Alabama teams. I was like, we just need like AJ McCarron or Greg McElroy in there. Like they're not to disparage. They were good quarterbacks. They led them to national titles. But game manager, that's what we really need in there, you know? And it's just unfortunate because I don't know if we have that guy on the roster. Like, if you look at our roster for what you're saying about our QB room, I don't think it's the worst QB room ever, but I think we have guys who are potential playmakers and also potential liabilities all over the place. And I don't know if I want to label Heinrich as that quite yet. I haven't seen
enough
that into existence, but we don't know. We just don't know. And I'll tell you this, I don't think any of these dudes are that game manager that we're talking about because our offensive line has really come into his own, and our running back room looks pretty good too. And it's like if we could just keep the ball for longer than we're keeping the ball, that's that's all we really need.
I know. Let's get into some other aspects of the game though. We've really harped on the QB, and that's where the coaching is going to come. Like, is he going to be different from Scott, or is he going to cling on to his guy, and it's going to be his guy, damn to what the result is. Let's go into what was our defense doing that was so good?
Yeah.
What were they doing?
Well,
from what you saw?
They were okay from what I saw, because I was paying attention to it from a D-line standpoint most of all. There was a lot to see there. I mean, they were getting home some of the times with a 3-man rush. It was beautiful to see, because when you get home with a 3-man rush, then you drop 8 back. It's you're gonna get one time out of 10 at least you're gonna get home, because he has nobody to throw to. And it was beautiful to see. It reminded me of 2009. That was like what we were able to do in 2009. And it sort of reminded me of something Bill Bush said a while back when he was talking about how he went to Miami and to see, he was like, I'm gonna go to Miami to see what their coaches can teach me. And they showed him film, and he was like, well, can't do any of that because your athletes are so much better. But yeah, we looked really good. We had athletes in the secondary. Our defensive line was getting home, and he was dialing up blitzes, I thought, at really good times for a lot of the game. I thought he gambled on a couple that it's a gamble. But I really liked the looks he was given, and he was really putting a lot of pressure on Shadur all day.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, again, like there gets to a point in any game where you don't feel any hope from the other side of the ball, and different level. But my senior year of high school, my high school team's defense was absolutely abysmal. My offense was averaging around 21 points a game. And in a high school environment, that's enough to win. But the defense was giving up around 35 a game. So the defense just freaking sucked. So every time I walked out on the field, and I wasn't a two-way player because I hated defense. And I just like, oh, I can't play because I hated tackling. I wasn't very physical until I got to college. So I was just like, I can't play. So I had zero input or anything in terms of the defense. But every time I walked on, I had to try to bail out the defense for giving up another score when we had gone down, taken the lead. That happened a lot. Right. So I understand that to a certain point, but like the defense was on the field so much on a offense that has people that can just run and run and run, and you let them, and the offense did a good enough job to let those people get a little bit rested to where they get back on the field and be able to drive.
Yep. I was making this point to my friend. I was talking on the phone to him earlier. I said, look, they maybe have 2 or 3 playmakers on their team. And I don't mean just athletes, playmakers that we probably don't have. Just being honest, we don't have a Travis Hunter. We don't have those dudes. But I think overall as a team, I still think we're probably better athletically. It's unfortunate.
No, honestly, if you look at that game objectively, and I really do look at most games objectively, I do think last week we lost to a Minnesota team that was a lot less talented than us. And the numbers back this up. We have the fourth or fifth most talented roster in the Big Ten this year. Fourth? Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to give us a little bit of.
Now there's a big jump from 3 to 4, but we're 4.
Yeah, but we're 4. We have the 4th most talented in the Big Ten, and we lose to a Minnesota team that is on paper less talented than us. And again, you have a quarterback. We walk away with that game. Walk away. And then this week, the same thing. I do think we have a more talented roster. You can see it. You can see that we are the more talented team, but we're not the best coached. We're not the best on situational. Like, I don't want to say quarterback, but that literally is the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah. I guess the most disheartening thing about these first 2 games are that if I had been in a sensory deprivation tank for the last 11 months and I didn't know Scott Frost had gotten fired, and you just woke me up for these first 2 games, I would have. I really don't know
God.
if I would know the difference that much. You know what I mean? Like that's the worst part about it. That's the worst part about it because I don't know, man. Like all these conversations that we're having feel like the conversations that we were having, just in a slightly different light, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, look, our defense is better. I think we can all agree on that. But and I think the scheme is better.
Yeah.
That like we have our scheme more dialed up right now than I think we probably ever did under Chenander. Now Chenander had a lot of athletes in 2021. And I don't want to disparage that unit because they showed out a couple of those games. But I do think our defense is a positive, and I think that our offensive line, for the most part, has been relatively positive compared to where it has been. But then you just look at the gaffes, the penalties in bad places that we still have continued to have, the turnovers.
True.
Like not as bad with the penalties, but the turnovers for sure. Turnovers are worse than penalties, in my opinion.
True.
I mean, like, and most people's opinions probably. I mean,
no turnovers.
Turnovers are the worst.
Turnovers are worse than under Scott, hands down.
Yeah.
Because there were some things under Scott that were not in his control. A lot of those turnovers were somebody made a good play on the ball. Somebody fumbled when they shouldn't supposed to. These are unforced errors. All of them.
Mm-hmm.
All of Sims's interceptions, unforced errors. That's not how you throw that ball to Fedoni. I told you this at the time. 6'6". That guy is 6'6", right? You throw that high to the sideline, let him toe tap. What was that? Second or third down? Whatever it was.
Something like
it wasn't
that.
First.
Yeah.
It wasn't first. It was either second or third. But you walk away, you let him punt, go ahead. But that's not how you throw that ball. The one in week 1, he tried to zip that in. That's the same type of ball. I think he only knows how to zip the ball.
Even today, he tried to find him in the middle and he threw him to the ground. And it's like, he's 6'6", bro. Like trust him. Trust him.
Trust him.
He'll make a play.
I guess Harburg trusted him, huh? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean,
that pass,
they were against. By that point, it felt like garbage time. I have to be honest. That's why I'm struggling to really give you a full assessment of Harburg's performance. He looked good. He looked like he knew what he was doing in there. He had some zip on the ball for sure. He threw a deep ball that was 10 yards overthrown, but he looked like he had a strong arm throwing it. So it's like, okay, you see why he's a quarterback, no doubt about it, and not just a H-back or a tight end, because he is athletic enough to be an H-back or a tight end. But yeah, I don't know. Let me put something. This is what I was going to say. Let me put something in perspective for Husker fans, because if you're a Husker fan watching this, you'll remember this. So we have had around 8 turnovers in the first 2 games. Okay? So, and we're giving our defense a lot of credit, and they deserve a lot of credit. But let's not act like they're the 85 Bears here, okay? Our in 2009, I believe it was, we went to Iowa State, and it was an 8 turnover game. We had 8 fumbles in that game. And the 2009 defense, a lot closer to the 85 Bears because we won that game. I think Eric Hagg had an interception in maybe it was even overtime. But we won a game having 8 fumbles. So, which is really hard to do. So the fumbles have to get under control, and we have to play complementary football. That's really just what it comes down to. Fumbles and interceptions and turnovers are not complementary football to the slightest. I mean, that's the opposite of complementary football.
You are right, but also, where are you fumbling the ball?
Yeah.
You're like, we had 2 fumbles. Like, literally, it was 0-0. We could have easily been 3-0. Which we're not even talking about that field goal that we missed. Like, that's just a luck thing, man. But
he had the leg for it. He had the leg for it.
I know. It's just accuracy. And he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, bro. I know you listen to the podcast, but
he's the one in our listens right now.
Yeah. No, but you look at like where we fumbled the ball. We gave them almost red zone position when those 2 fumbles right at the end of the half. and then you throw an interception right there,
And then,
right there.
Okay, so we've pointed out the big mistakes, and eventually I want to move away from Jeff Sims, but there's one more little mistake that was such a little tiny comparatively, but it's such a key procedural error at the end of the half where he's scrambling. I believe it was third down.
Yeah.
He's scrambling on third down. All we really need to do, there's less than a minute left. All we really need to do is keep the clock running and flip the field, and they're going to probably get the ball back with, 25, 30 seconds, something like that. Yeah. And he runs out of bounds.
Yeah, I know.
And he runs out of bounds. It was just like the cherry on top of the whole thing.
You know what that reminded me of?
Go ahead.
Iowa 2021. When Adrian, we were winning. We were winning.
Oh, yes.
All right? We were winning.
That was the Logan year, wasn't it? That was the Logan year. 2021 was the year that Logan played against Iowa.
It must have been 2019.
they kind of run together, don't they, man?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no. You're right. 2021 was the Logan year. We should have won that game too.
Yes, yes.
Remember, that was the game.
I think that was a safety.
The Logan year was the one Mom went, ooh, they're going to win today. Then we ended up losing.
Then we muffed a punt or something.
Yeah. No, but 2019, when Adrian, we were just literally trying to run out the clock, and that was to get bowl eligible at that point. We were 5 wins. I had just gone to the Maryland game the week before. We had kicked the crap out of Maryland, and that was the game that we were trying to get bowl eligible. There was around 3 minutes left. We had the ball, and we ran it to almost under 2. And there was a play, it broke down. Adrian went out, and then he went out of bounds. So we weren't able to run the clock out, and they were able to drive down the field, kick a game-winning field goal. That was this moment for Iowa.
Yes,
towards Frost.
I remember
that was 2019. That reminded me of that so much.
Yeah.
When he just ran out of bounds. And I was just like, you know what? No. Yeah. He's not the guy. You have to have the situational awareness. Damn. Dude.
Yeah, look, the game is the game. You got to perform in the game. That's the job. That is the role. You have to. That is rule number 1. And we can talk about how we don't want to harp on kids, and that's just fine. I don't want to disparage anybody either. I'm not disparaging nobody, but this is a game. Okay, this is and you get paid to play it now. So you're here and you get recruited, you get transferred in.
Yeah.
And you get paid to play it. So you're gonna be under scrutiny. That's part of the job. So I just don't think he should be the starting quarterback anymore.
Nope.
He's a 5-year starter at the Power 5 level. He's proven who he is time and time again, and he looks worse here. Yeah, this is like his 5th year, 4th or 5th. I mean, he's a starter for a long time. Yeah, he's been
I thought he was. This was his third
he
year.
started as a freshman at Georgia Tech, I believe, because I believe upon my memory, I think he was their first quarterback they recruited when they stopped being like a veer. Weren't they like a veer at one point? Like for deep into the 2000s, they were like an old school offense. But anyway, yeah. So their handpicked guy is proven to be who he is everywhere, and quite frankly, through his first 2 games. He's kind of looked worse here than he looked there. I mean,
absolutely. There's zero of the upside that he had at the other places. And even when when Casey transferred after the spring, we even said maybe they're seeing
it was a big topic on this show.
Big topic. Maybe they're seeing something that we're not. Maybe they are.
Yep.
And we looked at the previous play and everything, and Jeff Sims did not do good with a bad offensive line and 0 run game. But he made plays and he tried to be that person for Georgia Tech. That was where he really, really struggled. the bad offensive line. He got sacked a lot, and so he forced a lot of throws, but not reading defenses. Like is it completely like, ugh, it's bad.
I mean, it sort of makes you think like at Georgia Tech, like he was sort of the show, right? And with him being the show at Georgia Tech, I mean, they didn't have like the defensive supporting staff that we do. And now it's like he's got to perform because he's got pieces around him that are relying on him to perform. And you stand out more in that situation at Nebraska versus at Georgia Tech. And it's starting to make me think like, okay, well, maybe it wouldn't have been all that even if Georgia Tech had all their shit together, right? But I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I'm just sick to my stomach. I woke up this morning kind of feeling a little off, and I was like, oh no, to be honest. Like,
listen, as far as our season predictions go, I'm still 1-for-1, baby.
Are you really? You predict us to lose the first 2 games, huh?
Yep, I did.
We're gonna win the next 2. I had us 1-1.
We're gonna, you had us 1-1, but we're gonna win the next 2, and then win the next 3. So
you have to so
we're gonna be at that third one, so we'll see how long that lasts.
So I mean, here's what we got to look forward to, right? We got 2 weeks of hopefully games that we can win. I think that this is a team that should take care of business in those games. Through everything we've seen, through all the unforced errors, I still do have faith that this will get hammered out through the practice process. I mean, that's one of the things Rule said in his press conference today. He said, look, I don't like this any more than you, and this is, we're going to get this taken care of. We're going to get this figured out. And I believe that. So I think that those 2 games that are coming up are critical, and I think that we need to take care of business and get some confidence back. And if we beat Michigan, the season's back on. Season's back on.
Absolutely. And that's what my prediction was. And that was before I knew that I was going to the Michigan game. But you have a prime. Let's go into, before we get into all that stuff, we'll stop there. That'll be our one final thought. Let's go into positives and negatives of the game. Let's go into positives first. All right. And we've touched on a lot of this stuff. But let's go on positives. Our defense and the play calling was completely different from what we called versus Minnesota. You know what that tells me? Our coordinator is elite. He's good. He is good. Elite? Maybe that was a little bit of a misstep because we did 30 something points or whatever. But he's good. So I think our defense is going to okay.
Sorry, go ahead. What were we on? Positives?
Yeah, positive. Our defense played really, really well against a lot of really good playmakers that if you don't have a good defense are going to take advantage of you. Okay? They really did. Our offense let our defense down. Again, you know how hard it is to fight for the other side of the ball. Mm-hmm. That was a bad noise. But you know like how hard it is to fight for the other side of the ball if you don't have confidence in them. And you give up 13 points at the end of the half that should not have been given up. Yeah, the clap it gets everybody. But okay, that's my positive. And my other positive is Gabe Ervin runs really, really hard.
Yes,
he really does, and we have to get Ramir Johnson into the screen game. I don't know why we're not. Yes. That dude is fantastic in space. Why aren't you using him there?
Yeah, he's definitely good in space. No doubt about that. I agree with that.
What are
as far as the offensive scheme, I don't have much to say on that. I think that I agree with you. I think that there was adjustments from game 1 to game 2, but I also believe that man, you got to ride with the hot hand in certain situations. I still believe that it was a little like, okay, we've set it up. Now let's pass. Like, no, bro. No, please. Like, no. Stay under shotgun. Keep giving the ball to Gabe. Just please. Just stay under shotgun. Okay. Keep giving the ball to Gabe. Because those long, drawn-out runs where they were under shotgun.
These are positives.
No.
Highlight your positives. Because that's part of my negative. That's what
it's fair. I'll stick on positives. So, any other positives from the game? Special teams, no. Punting game was bad. Not many, to be honest, besides defense. Defense looked good. We tackled well. I'll say that. We tackled well. Through about physical. Through about 2.5 quarters, I don't know if I saw a missed tackle, to be honest with you. I can't remember one. Maybe 1 or 2 here and there. Definitely not 19 like TCU had last week. 19 missed tackles. So I think we probably had a couple throughout the day because of how the last couple quarters played out. We were very worn down, but I do think for the most part we're a physical team. I think that the training that they went through in fall camp has shown itself, and I think that there's no more talk about like, oh, they don't hit in practice. I think we've sort of put that to bed at this point. And I think, and one thing I said in my prediction video that I dropped yesterday, I said that I think that the more physical team wins 9 times out of 10. I still believe. I mean, turnovers negate that. That's just what happens. I still think that physicality will keep us in some games this year. I still believe that there's some restructuring needed on the offense, but I think the positive outlook, at least on it, is that our physicality overall as a team will keep us in a lot of games this year. Now, will we get over the hump and start winning some of those games? It's yet to be seen. But yeah, so okay, let's get into negatives.
All right. You go first. I went on positive first.
Okay, negatives. Ball security is a huge negative, and you just have to harp on ball security. I mean, and I'm not – every single one of them pretty much involved Jeff Sims, save the one where the guy was motioning across and the snap hit him. And I'm not sure whose fault that is. You'd really have to ask the coaches whose fault that is, because it could have been Jeff Sims called the snap at the wrong time. It could have been that there's like an automatic snap and they're waiting for the center. I'm not sure what it is, whose fault that was, but whose fault is it? Tell me.
The only one that I don't think is on Jeff. Well,
I'm talking about that specific one where he's moving across the middle. I'm talking about that one, and it hit the motion man. Who's that on?
Oh, okay. That is on the center.
Center. So it's like an auto snap. They're waiting for the center to snap.
So it should be on the center. I don't know what their procedure is, but knowing from the quarterback to center relationship, you don't ever want that to even be close. So if you clap 3 times and that's your signal, then if you clap 3 times and the guy is like moving like molasses, maybe that's on the motion man.
Yeah, but again, that's why I say I'm not going to pin that on anybody, because I just don't know. It could be on one of 3 people. It really could be.
But the other one that was literally like the motion man was like here and the snap came there and then he missed it.
Yeah.
Dude, like
that's
the
Jeff.
quarterback,
that's Jeff. Yeah,
the
100%.
quarterback is supposed to have the best hands on the field. It's always been.
You're right
that
about
way.
that.
Like the quarterback, like there's a reason that I went from quarterback to a wide receiver in college, because I had, a lot do, or from college quarterback to receiver. That happens so many, like in the NFL. That happens a lot. You know why? Because the quarterback has the best hands on the field, because they can catch snaps up here. They can catch snaps here. They can do like a lot with their hands, right?
And they're one with the football. They're always holding the football. Like the football is their baby.
Every other person on the field might not see the football on a play. They have a direct thing here, but a quarterback always touches the ball every single play.
Yep.
That's
Pretty
on
much.
Jeff. That is
Yep.
on Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely. No, I'm not disagreeing with you there. So that's a big negative for me is ball security.
Yeah.
I think that other than that, it's just a really hard game to talk about because the main issue is the ball security and Jeff Sims. I mean, the one negative I could point at is that 3rd and long where Alex Bullock dropped the ball. Again, desperation situation at that point, in my opinion, but it was still a bad drop. And then our defense getting worn out sort of shows a little bit of maybe a little bit of depth issues here and there, namely in the DB room, maybe. But that's just a maybe negative concern. I do think that, I mean, if I was going to bring back one more positive, that it would be our depth on our D line. Like some of those young dudes really showed themselves. Riley Van Poppel had a sack, and
Leonard and Borkacher, not Borkacher. He has the same kind of name as Borkacher.
Oh, Cam Linhart,
Cam Linhart, and the other guy.
Riley Van Poppel, and Kai Wallen, and I don't know if I saw Prince Will in there, but all 3 of those dudes had TFLs or sacks. They had good games, and they're freshmen.
It's an N name.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about because we have Ty Robinson, we have
Zero
Polar Bear, Nash, Hutchmacher. Sorry, yeah, Nash looked good. Yeah, sorry, Nash.
Yeah, no, Nash played really, really good.
Yes,
he really did, and you know he's one of those like single digit jersey people.
Mm-hmm.
But
I thought Luke was all over the place too. Just that whole front 7 unit just looked,
dude. Like Reimer is all over the field. Like if you're looking at a defense and you notice like somebody there all the time, that means he's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Because a linebacker, let's do that. He's all over the place.
Yeah, he is.
And he is like just being around the ball all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. So like Reimer is
Yeah,
he's good.
So that was one more positive that we had to hit on. Just given our front 7, our defensive line depth that showed itself, especially the young guys that really showed up today, giving them their props. We already hit it on ball security. We already hit on Jeff Sims enough. What else can you think of negative wise that we need to touch on? Special teams. You want to talk about special teams?
Boom Shimi sucked today.
Yeah, he did not have a good game.
First game that he's been in the red that he's been bad.
Yeah,
like
and Matt Rule was asked about his health status at the end of the press conference, and he didn't know. So, or he didn't say anything about it. So, I don't know if he was maybe hobbly going into the game, or I don't know what that question was about. So, he's a good punter. He's shown himself to be a good and consistent punter countless times. So I still have faith in Buschini, but not his best game today. I think his average punting through like 3 punts was 31 yards or something like that, which is not great.
And there was one time where they ran into him and they didn't call anything.
Yeah. Oh my, that was insane. That was crazy.
At a crucial part of the game.
Yeah, a crucial part of the game. Like, it was total rough in the punter. Like, I couldn't believe that. I mean, I don't know what they were seeing, why they didn't call it. I'm not a rules expert. Maybe there was enough time had gone by after he punted. I have no idea what the actual rule is. But to me, it's like you can't touch the punter like that. Like, and he wasn't thrown into him. He ran into him.
Sometimes they get blocked into the punter and they don't call it. But
that's probably what they saw then. That's probably what they saw.
They blocked it this way, but the guy still took 2 steps and ran into him.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he was not blocked into him, but I bet bang, bang, that's probably what the officials were thinking.
Yeah, probably. And let's talk about one other thing.
Okay.
And the officiating.
Yes.
In the game. And I don't attribute our loss to the officiating. Our loss was because we don't have a quarterback and we don't really have an offensive identity. But they almost held every single play. Every time like Shadur was running around and like creating plays, there was holding, and there was one time when there was blocking in the back 2 times right in front of the camera. Push right in the back. Right? So
Holding
it wasn't
bad.
called.
There was a couple of bad holdings too, man.
Really bad.
Yeah,
really bad.
I mean, and you don't want to get too far into conspiracy territory, but I did mention how much money was on Colorado in this game. Now, I'm no expert. I've just really gotten to the betting game very recently. So, a matter of fact, I called my friend because I was setting up some bets for tonight, and I called him to make sure the ones I was setting up made sense. Because I was like, I'm trying to hedge this one with this one, and I got some set up. But anyway, they had so much money on Colorado. It's like, I mean, I don't know. There was some bad officiating, but to me, there wasn't enough to be like, that's what lost us the game. And that's not what lost us the game.
No.
That wasn't even really a factor that much to me. I mean, it wasn't that much of a factor, save maybe the one we were just talking about with the roughing penalty and some of those holdings. But even those, like the holdings I'm remembering were early. And like they weren't really scoring anyway, right? So would they have made that much of a difference if those holdings were called? I don't know, not much. There was one on a touchdown, I think, or a big play later on in the game where someone was held right in the middle of the field, like bad. They were literally tackled, and they didn't call that. But by that point, we were so worn out, and the game was really over at that point. And yeah, it was really a really bad way to start the college football season. But I think we've harped on enough positives and negatives. Let's go ahead and give our one final thought for this game.
One final thought. All right, you first.
Okay. My final thought is that it's tough when, like I said, it's tough when you've dealt with the Scott Frost. No, it's tough when you've dealt with the Scott Frost era for the last 5 years and the conversations and problems that you've been having within the Scott Frost era for the last 5 years. And then again, if you would have knocked me out and woke me up, I would have. It's no different almost. So that's a little rough to deal with, but I do believe we have a guy at the helm who's going to hold people accountable. I still believe that. I believe that we're 2 games into this. It's a very small sample size going forward. I said something a while back that was like, look, when a guy's legit, when a coach is legit, you're going to see progress. Doesn't matter. You're going to see it. Like in year one, and you might not be the best team, but you're going to see progress in year one. And one thing I want to like sort of look at is like Mike Norvell at Florida State. They were like 5-7 or something like that his first year, and then they were like 7-5, and then they were like 8-4, and then they were like 10-4, and now they're like a top 4 team, and a lot of people are picking them to win the national title. So I want to say this, like a conversation going out of this game from the announcers and from a lot of people were like, you're seeing 2 different like styles on display, the tortoise and the hare. Like Deion Sanders has rebuilt his team in 1 year and yada, yada, yada. Is he giving the blueprint for what people can do moving forward? What I say to that, quite honestly, is like, Deion is Deion. Like Deion is Deion. Like, I don't know if any other person could do what Deion is doing right now as far as flipping the roster, how quickly he has flipped it. Now, if Nick Saban was like, screw Alabama, I'm going to Florida or something like that, maybe he'd be able to do it. But very, very rare company of people who can do that. And I think that Matt Rule is taking sort of the Mike Norvell approach in, I'm not Deion, but I know what I can do, and just let me do what I can do. So this is disheartening and emotional and raw right now, but I still want to remind Husker Nation, we got to hold the faith. We got to keep the faith. Yeah. We will win a national championship in my lifetime. We will.
If we live long enough. Again, remember, I'm 30. You're 26. We don't have that many years left. No, what's funny about that is like when Greg was on here on what was that, Wednesday, and I was talking about the first time I remembered like the Colorado like rivalry and everything, the Colorado like Nebraska game in 2000, and when they kicked the crap out of us, and then we ended up going to the national championship game. I mean, that was the first time I remembered Colorado, and then I didn't remember them any really time after that because, again, we've eaten their lunch, and we've still eaten their lunch in the win-loss total. They have a lot of years to make up there, right? But let's not go too hard on the Dion train here, because I have a hot take that nobody is talking about. He has coached Shedeur through his entire career. He has gone through Shedeur's success his entire career. He has never not been Shedeur's coach. He has never had to coach another quarterback. He's never had to coach another quarterback the entire time that he's been a coach. He's just gone up with him. Because guess what? The dude is a Hall of Fame NFL player. He has the money to do it. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what type of coach he's going to be without Shedeur. He's not going to follow him to the NFL. He is not. He is not an NFL quarterback coach. He's not.
I got to be honest.
He's not.
That's not the conclusion I draw from that, man. I just think that it's less the fact of like he has Shedeur. I think Dion is a magnanimous person. I think that whether he had Shedeur or not, he would have found a quarterback. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that.
To hitch his wagon
guarantee
to?
you. Yes. To hitch his wagon to. Absolutely he would have. He wasn't looking for quarterbacks because he had his and his son already. But I'm telling you, like, I don't agree with that, to be honest. I don't agree with that.
Okay, you don't agree with that, but we'll see. We'll see. He's never – but you can't go off of the fact that, like, he's never had to coach without his son that he trusts. They can literally sit there at family dinner and, like, literally, like, do all the stuff. He's never had to do that. Never.
Sure.
In Pee-wee, high school, college, he's never had to do that. We will see what kind of coach Prime is when Shedeur moves on. We will see. We will.
Yeah, I mean, we will, and I think he'll be just fine, to be honest with you. I think that I agree with you. It's a definite advantage to have raised somebody to be it's a son, but to have raised your son
with
to
NFL caliber people.
Yeah, around you the whole time. I agree with that. I mean, his son Shedeur is legit. That's what we figured out today. Yeah. He's pretty much exactly what we thought he was, to be quite frank. Yeah. I believe somebody pointed out on a podcast the other day that was like, his stats drop. His completion percentage drops whenever he gets pressure put on him. And that was pretty much confirmed today. I mean, he had a couple plays where he extended plays and found some people here. He had one that he almost found a dude in the end zone, but the guy dropped it. But yeah, so he's exactly what we thought he was. I think he's a really, really good quarterback, smart quarterback. Yeah. And like you said, grew up around people like Tom Brady and people who were rubbing elbows with Dion. So it's a definite advantage to have someone like that as your quarterback. Yeah. But I'm telling you, like, if he didn't have Shedeur, he would have found his quarterback. Like, no doubt about it. The way he recruited in the transfer portal, no doubt about it, he would have found his quarterback. Yeah,
that's what you think, though. He has two of his sons on the team, dude, and he's followed them the entire way. You played against him, dude. You played against him.
I don't know if I played against Shedeur. Nah, he's younger than me, man.
Not Shedeur, but you played against Prime.
Yeah, I did.
You did.
I did.
You did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Did you guys win?
I went 1-on-1 with Prime.
You went 1-on-1 with Prime.
Yeah. I mossed Prime.
Yeah.
No, we played his team in high school, and like I've said this story, but it's okay. We played his team in high school. And they weren't. He had just taken over this like prep school, high school team, and they had a lot of talent, but they weren't organized yet. And we were an organized, Texas high school football team, so we kind of beat the crap out of them. Yeah. But I don't know, man. 2 years later, he won state with that team. So yeah. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think he's a bad coach, But I think that he needs to prove himself in the top level outside of his really athletically talented sons. And it'll be interesting to see, especially like as the year goes on, because I think the team we just lost to 8-4.
Yeah, I could see that 8-4, 7-5, 8-4, 9-3 at the most. I don't think they beat Washington. They don't beat Washington. They don't beat Utah. They don't beat USC. Did Utah win today? They won, right? Utah was playing Baylor.
Utah was losing by 3 scores last time I checked.
Baylor, but no, not 3 scores. They beat them. Baylor was only ever winning 13-0. It's 20-13. They won, so
okay.
Utah won.
Okay.
So. And it was like Baylor like threw an interception in the last second or something like that. I peripherally paid attention to that game. But anyway, yeah, there's like about 3 teams in the Pac-12 that Colorado definitely loses to. And then Oregon State. I don't know if they play Oregon State. I think all the Pac-12 teams all play each other. I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah,
I think they play Oregon State. But anyway, I think they're 7-5 probably at worst. I don't think they're a bad team.
No,
I think but like I said, I think their weaknesses that I pointed out before the game largely were their weaknesses.
Yep.
So I think at this point, with all the unknowns going into the season with Colorado, there was this mystery product that was like, we have to look at this high school tape from 3 years ago to try to figure out what Colorado is going to do. No, there's none of that anymore. They're a known commodity now.
Yeah, and I think that we exposed a lot of the stuff.
Yes.
That a lot of teams are going to take advantage of.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
Yes.
And that happens a lot. Remember, week 1 to week 2, and then week 2 to week 3. That's when the week 4 or 5. That's when the wheat separates from the shaft.
Yeah, when good teams become championship teams, or good teams stay good teams, or good teams become average teams. You know.
Yep.
Because some teams look good the first couple weeks and then they fall apart. Some teams look bad the first couple weeks and then they rise up. It's a long season. It's a long season. We got to remember that because these first 2 games sucked. They sucked. They sucked. But it is what it is.
So bad.
Yeah, it is what it is. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. We love doing these. And we'd love to have interaction between anybody that listens. And also remember, we actually do post a audio version of the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search Cornhusker Corner. That'll show right up. But always remember that there's no place like
this podcast.
This podcast.